Rusty would risk life and limb to swim across a flooded, treacherous river with a basket around his neck to retrieve food for his starving elderly friend. He would face the river once again to ensure he got across, to be sure his friend got the food he ever so desperately needed. This is the real true story of Rusty's Crossing. Appalachia, the mountains are like no other. From its rigid terrain, beautiful wildlife, to the people that live their lives here, to the strange, unexplained stories that folks share. Join me while I share this amazing place, one story at a time. An 80-year-old man, much too old to grow his food, lived alongside the river. He had to cross the river to get groceries. But he had grown even too old to swim now. What would he do? His trusty friend Rusty would take a basket around his neck, swim to the store, get what was on the list, then swim back. One wet spring, a flood nearly drowned old Rusty, and the whole town came together to fix the problem. Mr. Tom Jenkins was an elderly man who lived along the river. If anything he needed from the town just across the river, he would swim across and buy it and then bring it home. There were no bridges back then. But then Mr. Jenkins got to where it was just way too much for him to do. He had to have a solution, or else he would die from starvation. See, Mr. Jenkins, he lived alone with his best friend Rusty. Rusty was no ordinary man. Well, he wasn't a man at all. Rather a black and white hound, and smart as a whip. He didn't have to be taught much. He learned it himself. Desperate for help, Mr. Jenkins put a basket around Rusty's neck, put a list in his mouth, and said, "Swim across to the other side and give the shopkeep this list and money, then swim back with what he gives you." With that, Rusty ran for the water and swam across, and he went right to the storekeep, gave him the list and the money, and then swam right home. Old Tom was beside himself at how old Rusty helped him in his time of need. From then on, every day or so, old Rusty made the journey to and from town crossing the river. He never had a single problem. That is, until May the 15th, 1935. This time was different. It had been a rather rough, harsh spring, raining for weeks at a time. The river was flooded, and the water was rushing. Old Rusty went for his daily run to town and was washed downstream, nearly losing his life. The townspeople loved old Rusty for his loyalty and dedication to old Mr. Tom Jenkins. They just hated to see him nearly drowned. They needed to act fast. The sheriff, local farmers, shopkeepers, even church members had a meeting and devised a plan. They was set into action that night. The farmers hitched up some old mules, and the folks gathered some ropes, some plank boards, and some nails, and they set out to build a small foot bridge over the raging river, just wide enough for Rusty and old Tom to cross safely to town and back. No need to swim across ever again. The town named the bridge Rusty's Crossing after old Rusty. Old Rusty and Tom were ever so thankful to the town for helping them with a much safer crossing area. Now that bridge, it stood long after Rusty and Tom had passed. 40 years it stood until it was lost to Mother Nature. The townspeople bring a bowl of dog food and leave it in memory of old Rusty every year, remembering his love and loyalty to old Mr. Tom Jenkins. Now, if you noticed, I never specifically said what river was crossed. Well, the story told is said to be the Tennessee River, but there's a problem with that. The Tennessee River was flooded in the 1930s, so the bridge could never have crossed it because the Tennessee River is so wide from one shore to the next that it wasn't possible for a couple of farmers to build a plank bridge. But the Paintrock River has existed for thousands of years, and it's only 30 feet across at its narrowest. I think that is where this story takes place, but there's no way of really knowing. Who actually knows? So who actually knew what river it actually was? All I know is it's a true story with a real photo taken back May the 15th, 1935. What a true, heartwarming, and amazing story. We've heard our whole lives that our dogs are man's best friend. Some have even laid their lives down for their owners. This case, old Rusty would swim across the treacherous river just so he could feed his owner. And thankfully, the townsfolk come together and made a simple plank bridge for the two to cross and be able to go to the local church and visit town folks more often without having to be in any danger. This is a truly historic story from my local area, told by local historians. Folks, I want to thank you for sitting and listening to this historic tale of Rusty's Crossing. Well, I appreciate you listening. I love you to pieces. And I'll see you next time.